The presenting sponsor of Moon Tower Soccer is FVF Law.
To find out what makes FVF a different kind of injury law firm, you can visit fvf.law.
Hello friends, thanks for listening to Moon Tower Soccer. This week we're going to cover some Austin FC news. We'll talk about the preseason match this past weekend, and we'll play our now annual over-under game with Marcelo Tayson. My name's Landon Cottom, and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Jeremiah Bentley.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeremiah Bentley, and I am a little sore today. I spent 7 hours with the chainsaw yesterday, turning all of the trees in our backyard that fell in the winter storm into some kind of like medieval defense mechanism currently in front of the house. Like I've just got like a 4 foot tall pile of like brush and limbs around the house. So it was not a great experience. We were without power for like 2 days. So they loved it. The Bentley boys went to work with me on Thursday and Friday. So they had internet, heat, unlimited snacks and ice cream.
And weren't at school.
And they weren't at school. Yeah. They were like, I was like, oh guys, the lights are back on. Let's go home. And Luke's like, no, the internet's way better here. Let's stay here. And they have snacks. So, I mean, it was not a lot of fun to be without power for that long, but overall, it was a pretty good experience. And I'm not sure that everybody's like had the same casual experience out of this that we probably had, including the Stuvers, who seem very upset about what's going on.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, I am in the 78745, which I think is still the most affected area. Strangely enough, we lost power for like an hour the whole time, which is much better than we fared in 2021 with the near grid failure and all of that. So we were really lucky this time, but we were just watching our neighbors' trees fall apart all for 48 hours or whatever. Luckily, all of our tree limbs died in the 2021 storm, and so we had all our trees trimmed and they were fine. There's no problem with ours, but all down the street, that was wild. So anybody who is still without power, if there's any way we can help, I know most people probably a soccer podcast is not going to be the first place you come for help, but if we can help with anything, please let us know, and hopefully everyone has power now, or we'll get it back soon.
Yeah, hopefully we can all get through this together and look forward to the start of the 2023 MLS season, which is just around the corner for us.
Yeah, so we have one more preseason scrimmage to talk about. There's more information about this one, partially because the club actually tweeted some information about it, but also because there are several, dozens, hundreds of people out on Verde Hill peering over the fences at the St. David's Performance Center. Do you think that the club decided to tweet information about the game because there were going to be people standing on that hill?
Just knowing that people were going to be there anyhow?
Well, I think if somebody's going to tweet information about it, they're like, it might as well be us.
It better be us.
Instead of the fans on the hill. So we can kind of control what gets out, or at least have some like put our thumbs on the scale of what information actually gets out to the public.
I mean, that is definitely an interesting theory. I hadn't thought about it that much. I was thinking maybe so. I was thinking a little more about maybe it was just like the pressure from people complaining about how they had to follow the other club in the first match. And then I don't know if we'll talk about this too much, but like Miami's having like an open match and like fan festival for the Austin FC scrimmage on the 18th. So maybe it was just like peer pressure from everything else that's going on. But I can definitely see the argument that that not having Chris Ramirez in a Speedo like tweeting about what's going on in the hill allows them to control the nerve a little more. And it was a little kind of uneven, right? Because I'm not even sure that every goal was recognized, but there was more content.
Every goal was not posted about. Every substitution was not posted about, but some of them were. And so again, that's kind of what I'm saying about like putting their thumb on the scale of all that kind of stuff is like, okay, we're okay with this information getting out. Maybe we don't say anything about this, whether it be for, I don't know, strategic purposes, state secrets type things. I don't know.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it too much. So today, we have a starting lineup here. Was this something that Austin FC tweeted or we found somewhere else? I think it was
they
the
actually
club
posted
tweet, right?
This.
Okay.
The club tweeted this, yeah.
So with this lineup, okay, we'll go through it really quickly. Stuver in goal, Kumanic and Lima at fullbacks, Vicen and Cascante at center backs, Ring and Wolf Driussi in the midfield, Fagundes and Rigoni on the wings, and Will Bruin, trialist. I like that they included that in parentheses in the tweet. It's striker. So do you read anything at all into this lineup?
I think the main thing I read into it is this is most of the people we would write down as starters, right? Not all of them, but it's like a good chunk of guys who we expect to be starting on match day 1. I think this is at least partially giving Will Bruin a run out with some of those guys and seeing if like how he works with those guys. Are you compatible enough with this team for us to give you that third striker spot?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So I think it's like 8. I think is what I'm looking at, probably starters. Everybody except for Bruin, Owen,
Kolmanich,
and Kolmanich are probably game day 1 starters. So that's a really strong lineup. And we'll try not to read a lot into preseason, but like it showed too in terms of the results from this match as opposed to other matches.
Yeah, I think from this point on, the games will start to look more and more like what the starting lineup is going to be, right? I think that's been the case in the last couple of preseasons that we've gone through. And so I would expect that to be the case this year. It's like, we is it 3 more preseason games coming up?
Yeah, Louisville, Sacramento, and Inter Miami are the 3 preseason matches left.
Yeah, so we'll get into that here in a second. But I feel like in the last couple of seasons, we started to see like, okay, this is the group. Like these are the guys who Wolf is going to call on February 25th. So we got 5 goals and ended 5-0. This was 2 45-minute halves plus a additional 30-minute period. And so the goals came from Owen Wolf, Driussi, David Rodriguez from Austin 2, Ethan Finley, and Maxi Ruti. As far as like what the shape looked like, I posted a prediction on Twitter. And if anybody who was out there, I didn't read anything about this, but if anybody who was out there who was watching this could tell me what the shape looked like at various points in the game. So my prediction is that Austin FC will play more with a double pivot this year. Wolf keeps kind of hinting at tweaks to the structure of the team and little bits of like player interviews. And then Brian Mangum pointed this out in one of the videos, like training videos that the club put out. Wolf says something to Danny Pereira, like when you and Owen are in the 6-6, essentially, I'm guessing that means like a dual 6, like 2 defensive midfielders. So I'm predicting that like we're going to see a lot more of that. So anybody who was out on Verde Hill, let me know if you noticed that in the shape, if they were actually playing that way, or if it was just the same 4-3-3 we always see with Danny Pereira playing that lone 6 role whenever he was on the field.
So all these guys that talked last year about Austin having a double pivot that you made fun of, they may be right this year? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, but they're not going to know the difference, I guess.
They're going to be the same.
They're going to start posting as a 4-3-3 just to piss me off.
That's quite possible. What about... Let's see, what else did we see? So I did see that Zardes was not there because he had picked up a little knock in training, so it's probably also another good reason for Will Bruin to get a little time. Is there anybody else that was out that you were surprised by?
So Johan Valencia was not there. He's posting pictures from Colombia, and we've kind of heard through the grapevine that maybe he's there working on a green card, which is good news. Like it's makes his life probably a little bit easier living here, and also opens up an international spot for Austin FC. So I believe, yeah, if he gets it done before
the roster compliance deadline, I think, right? It doesn't even have to be before the start of the season.
Right. Then we can actually use that spot this season. And so, yeah, good news on all fronts if that's the case. I think one wrinkle to that is with him missing some of these preseason games, I'm not sure how long he's going to be gone, but Sofian Jeffal is going to be a guy who's pushing for minutes in this team this year. And I could see a reality where Valencia misses a preseason game, misses some training. Jeffal is playing and training and starting to impress Wolf. Maybe Jeffal steals any minutes that Wolf maybe had Valencia penciled in for early in the season. I could see a situation where Jeffal starts to steal some of those things. And if he keeps performing, maybe he continues to keep Valencia on the bench even more so than he was last year.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that with a question for you, but I guess I want to make one point or emphasize a point you made on Valencia and not being here in training, and maybe in a way that's different from another guy we're going to talk about, is that so Valencia was in Austin, right? And Valencia even played he played. I guess it was on Florida matches, but like he's featured in the preseason for Austin. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, he was in Florida the whole time, as far as I know.
So it's not like it's not the Musa Djitte role where he was like back at home or wherever he might be. Like he's been in preseason and went back for some specific purpose. Like I did not expect that this portends like a transfer or anything like that. My question to you is, I mean, he's obviously got a very different build than Jafal. Like, but you think that like does he have a different skill set, or I mean, why do you see them competing for minutes?
Yeah, so they are different players. They're not, I would not call Jafal even like a true 6. Oftentimes in DC, when he was playing in a double pivot, there was usually more of like a destroyer guy playing next to him. And so, I don't think they're 1-for-1 change. But if we are playing in more of this double pivot structure, I think that you can afford to have two guys who are like pretty good defensively, but maybe better carrying the ball forward than Valencia is in that system. So with this dual pivot, I think it really suits the skill sets of guys like Owen Wolf, like Sofiane Jeffal, because there's a lot of pressure on that single 6 in that 4-3-3 shape. And I think we saw the results of that, especially in year 1 and at times in year 2, having Danny Pereira there by himself in some of those moments. Having the two guys there, I think it takes some of the pressure off, and you can maybe not need to have like a dedicated destroyer, but just as long as those two guys are defensively sound. And if you have guys like Danny, who's been playing there by himself, or Sofiane Jeffal, who's played a lot of 6 in DC, I think you can kind of share some of those responsibilities, which is why I think that he might see those minutes. If it is that 4-3-3 shape with the lone 6, I don't see Jeffal getting a lot of minutes in that role. I think he would be definitely in like the dual 8 or dual 6 role, kind of like Alex Ring, the spots that Felipe played last year. I'd see him getting more minutes in those spots, but not necessarily as a lone 6.
Yeah, and so this is going to go into the over-under question, but maybe if Austin does play like that, maybe Danny doesn't pick up a yellow card accumulation if he's not left alone as much as possible. Maybe he grows up a little bit as a player, which is a little bit of the reason why he got so many. Yeah, well, let's go on to the preseason matches. So we talked about Austin having 3 more upcoming. 2 of those are new announcements. The one I think that's probably the most interesting is the Wednesday, September 15th against Sacramento Republic FC out of the USL. And this one is at a location where we have never had a preseason match before, I don't believe, correct?
I think that's right. Yeah, as far as like these preseason friendlies go anyway.
So it's Q2 Stadium, home of the February 15th preseason match versus Sacramento Republic, but the match is closed to the public. So do you have any theories on that? Well, I think we know that, right, at this point?
Yeah, I think you've been told by a couple of different places, so let us know what you've heard about this game.
Yeah, we've heard that this is the opportunity for Apple to test out the broadcast ability, cameras, setup, studio, and all those things before there's actually real meaningful games to be played later in February. So I believe that's why this one is being played at Q2. There's other matches being played at other stadiums across the league, maybe other matches including announcers that will be calling Austin games, around the league to really help Apple and MLS test this product out and sort out what it might be before they put an actual broadcast on air. And I don't know a ton about the media, but this seems like a pretty common practice. Like, my company sponsored a radio show on NPR, and it was like a brand new show, and they did test episodes for like 2 weeks straight with like real guests and commercial breaks. Well,
wow.
I mean, not real. We don't call them commercial breaks. It's NPR, but like sponsor breaks or whatever, underwriter breaks, and did like 2 weeks worth of shows that they never ever published anywhere just to work out all the kinks. So I can absolutely see that Apple TV would do the same kind of thing with broadcasts.
A lot of like podcasting professionals and like guides on how to start a podcast, a lot of them recommend recording an entire first episode and then deleting it and then making the second episode be your first episode.
Well, and they could do it the way we did it, where you started talking about a team before anybody knew or cared, and nobody
was listening. It's the same as deleting it, I guess.
Basically, yeah.
Speaking of Apple, we now have access to the platform. There's quite a bit of content on there. There's team-specific content. There's league-specific content. How much of this have you seen so far, and what are your first impressions of it?
So I've only watched the what is the Rituals one? It's all I've seen because with the not having power and stuff, my TV viewing has been down a little bit over where it normally would have been, and I also have not updated the iOS on my phone to be able to view it yet. So I've only seen a little bit on my laptop, but I mean, it seems really good. And what I've read is there's a lot of other maybe bad content from other clubs out there. But how much have you seen?
Yeah, I've watched all of the Austin stuff, not much else. So yeah, I think you're right. It seems like all of this content so far, as far as club specific stuff, has been produced by the teams themselves. And it's very clear which teams have dedicated staff to do stuff like that in a high level way. Some of them, it looks like they like shipped it out to some corporate video training company or something.
Yeah, and let's say from some of the articles I've read, it seems like exactly the clubs you would expect to be good at it or good at it. Like I've heard Atlanta's stuff is pretty good. I've heard LA stuff is pretty good. I've heard all the like legacy original MLS teams who haven't invested a lot in social or things are pretty bad. So I'm not surprised at all by that.
Yeah, but I really do hope that there is pressure both from the league and from Apple to say like, hey, step up your game. This is fine for now because we need to fill this with content, but it needs to improve. Like for this to be a good product that people want to pay for, it needs to be good. Austin FC is having no trouble on that front so far as we expected, but some of them haven't been so great. One of my favorite parts of this package, and this is a trick that someone on Los Verdes Slack showed me, and I think we should talk about it on the show because I think there's probably a lot of people who still don't know about it, but you can go back and watch full 90-minute matches of all of the 2022 season. And so the way you do it is if you click on if you go to like the Austin FC homepage, go to the bottom, it'll say past matches, click on a match, it'll go to a page, scroll down to the very bottom of that page, and there's an icon that says MLS Season Pass or something like that. If you're on a computer, you can click on that and it'll open up and give you the two options. If you're on the TV or on your phone, then you'll like hold it down and two options will pop up and you can either watch the highlights or the full 90 minutes. But I think depending on what device you're on, if you just click it, it might just take you to like a 4-minute highlight package. And so, yeah, go down to that MLS Season Pass thing, click it or hold down on it, and you can watch that full 90 game if you want to. And I went through and was doing some of that. I posted this on Twitter yesterday, but I watched several, like a big chunk of the first 4 matches. And those were the only games that Cecilio Dominguez played in last year. And I was getting really frustrated because he was actually pretty good in those games. And if he hadn't gone and messed everything up like he did, like imagine how good that team would have been. Like there's I don't know how many games did Owen Wolf start on the wing for us last year. This is like 7 or 8 games that he started there and then lots of other minutes that he played there. Imagine if we have a guy scoring, even if he scores 10 goals or whatever, that's still like, that's second highest on the team. And so like, I don't know. I was just getting really frustrated because he really did look quite good in those games.
Yeah, but yes, he did. I know there were some people who just remember the flopping and complaining and whatever, but I mean, it was a different team. I mean, those first 4 games were, obviously there was 2 bonus games, but that was the strongest Austin probably looked all year. It was other than the LA match, right? It was like right off the bat when everything was kind of, what was it, like 15 to, what, they scored 15 goals or something in the first 4 matches, which was some kind of, I don't think maybe it like tied the record for the league for the most in the first matches or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely a missed opportunity that connection that was being made.
This was not on the Apple package, but the mic'd up videos that the club has been putting out, I think they've done Hector Jimenez so far, and Danny Pereira was the most recent one.
And they were both genius in different ways, right? Like I loved Hector as a dude. Hector was like, oh, this is like the team dad, and he's amazing and encouraging and supportive. And then Danny was just Danny.
I love that about Danny though, because a lot of times when he does interviews, he kind of clams up. You can tell he gets a little bit nervous in front of the mic, but in that situation, he's just like in his element playing soccer, and like that has to be when these guys feel the freest, right? And so he's just super funny. And then with Hector, it's one thing that stuck out to me is how competitive they are in those training exercises. and like yelling at the I guess assistant coaches on the side who are judging if the goal counts or not or whatever, and like getting in their faces. I thought that was really funny though. But if Apple doesn't have plans to include this kind of stuff in their content, they absolutely should, because this is gold. Like you see like NFL does this with like miking up coaches on the sidelines, or they, like the quarterbacks have those microphones in their helmets already. So doing that kind of stuff during games and publishing that afterwards, like a little curated couple of minute package of a coach mic'd up or players mic'd up on the sideline, that would be content gold. So they should absolutely do more of that.
Yeah, and that we've had a little bit of experience with that back in 2021. Not so much in Austin, but like with the pandemic games when there was not a crowd, or when the crowd was really small and you could hear the coaches, you could hear Josh Wolf coaching on the sideline. Like, it was really interesting stuff. So to mic it up and encourage that would be good. So hopefully that's the promise of this Apple package, is that the league gets a little more creative in what they're delivering. And maybe when it's centralized and controlled more by the league and by the content provider and not so much in the hands of individual teams, we get more stuff like that. But yeah, I love those videos. I love Danny like singing Bad Bunny while he's like practicing in between drills.
All right, now let's move on to the transfer and transfer rumor section. I think we're at the part of the season where this is going to be mostly outgoing at this point. We have one confirmed. This is Moussa Djitte. I can't remember. Yeah, this was...
It was a rumor
last week.
Yeah. And I think it was announced on Tuesday. So it was like a rumor last Monday we were recording, official Tuesday. So we kind of knew, oh, great. Like you were you right last week when you guessed the club name? You try to pronounce the club name?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's as right as I can say it.
Okay, so do it again.
Ajaccio. This is a French team that's in Corsica, which is an island in the Mediterranean. It looks absolutely beautiful, and you can see the ocean from the stadium, which is really cool. But they're in League 1, right? They're in the first division?
They're in the first division. I think they're pretty low in the table in the first division.
And they're not usually there. I think they have like 4 seasons ever in the first division, usually a French second division team. And so... like this is an interesting one. It is a loan through the end of the French season, which just goes through this summer. They have an option to buy, and then I guess if they don't buy, technically he's coming back to Austin. We talk about this later on in the over/under game with Marcelo. Both of us guessed in that game that he's not going to come back. This is kind of a tricky situation though, where it's a little bit of the Tomas Pochettino situation where, if you're not counting on him coming back, then maybe you fill his roster spot and sign somebody else. But if Ajaccio doesn't sign him and he's technically ours again, this is not the offseason where we have time to offload Tomas Pochettino to Brazil. Like, he's coming back now, and we're in mid-season, and he's on our books again. So I really think that whether he comes back or not, Austin FC is essentially just going to need to leave his roster spot open for him.
I think you're right. And the good thing about that is that the window will be open for a while after you know the outcome of that maneuver. And I guess this is kind of my thought. Even if Djitte was loaned out to the end of the calendar year, that Austin's probably done bringing players in until you get to the summer window. And you see what the needs are and like where the gaps are, and so in that way, Austin does have a little time to see what happens with Djitte. And he did he made the bench in the first match. Did he? I think he played some. Is that right? Or he's played a few minutes already?
I don't even know. I haven't tracked it.
Yeah, I think he's been there for 2 matches and played a little bit in one. But he's okay. So maybe they're going to feature him some. But I think it was interesting because we didn't know when we talked to Marcelo, but yeah, we do both agree that we've probably seen the last of Moussa Djitte in Austin. I think Will Bruin being in Austin on trial is obviously a real big indicator that that's probably over. And I think you said last week, like, Austin's probably a better team in 2023 with Will Bruin. Now, like, Djitte being a U22 guy, that does make you think about roster construction long term, depending on whether he comes back or not.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that if it looks like Ajaccio wants to buy him, Or if they outright say like, hey, we don't want to buy him, start looking elsewhere, and maybe they have some stuff lined up, and this summer we can bring in another U22 player to replace him. But yeah, I think you're right. We shouldn't expect that to happen in this window.
You want to go on the other way? Yeah, let's see. You want to go on the other guy?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, what is Moussa Djitte without his best friend? There's a rumor from Twitter from Senior Football Paraguay. Saying that Johan Romaña is on his way to Olympia in Paraguay. And so this is the only place I've seen this rumor so far. It is it's 128,000 followers on Twitter, but it is also an anonymous Twitter account. And so I don't really know what this account's reputation is and how, like, what their record is on calling these transfers. But what they're saying is that Olympia has more or less a transfer ban because they missed their last payment on buying a player. They owed another club money and didn't make their last payment. And so essentially they need to make that payment in order to be able to sign another player. And Senior Football on Twitter is saying that if they can make that payment, then this move is happening. Again, this is the only place we're seeing this, so far from confirmed, but there's definitely smoke there.
And there is, just from what we know about Johan Romaña and Josh Wolf's relationship right now, you can imagine that if there is any option for Romaña to get out, that probably Austin's going to be all in favor of that happening and appears to be ready to play the season without him playing meaningful minutes at all. I guess one other thing I keep hearing from people when we talk about roster flexibility, because Austin was at 20 for a week, right? Senior players, and now with Djitte, they're at 19, and maybe now if Romaña goes back out there at 18. So there's this other preseason buyout option that Austin took on the Ulysses Segura last year, which I don't know, people seem to want to happen, but don't really have like a purpose or a player that they want to spend. Well, they have one player they want to spend it on. That may or may not make sense, but like, what do you think about that? Is it something MLS teams routinely do? Is just go ahead and take advantage of their buyout? Like, I don't think it's that common.
I don't know the answer to that. And like, the thing is, I would imagine oftentimes when it happens, you don't hear about it because it's a player who didn't play and you've maybe never heard of them. And so, yeah, it's just like, we know all these players really well. So it's hard to say whether or not other teams use it a lot. But if we have 2 senior roster spots open right now, I know people like to talk about how Rodney isn't earning his paycheck or whatever. He's really not on that much money. He's not taking up that much cap space. And so if we have 2 roster spots open, like, there's no need to use the buyout. So I'd say you only use it if you need that spot. And so at this moment, I don't really see any big urgency to do so, especially with how many competitions we have this season. So yeah, at this moment, I would bet that we don't use it. But if we get a couple more transfers come in the next couple of weeks, yeah, maybe then the urgency is there.
Maybe we do. I don't see that happening other than if Austin's working on a deal with a winger somewhere that would be like a 1-for-1 replacement. Maybe you do that, but there's a lot of depth right now at this point, generally across the roster. I think after adding Lundqvist and Tarak, there's not like a lot of spots that need that kind of depth. So I don't know what you would use it for. Yeah,
I mean, left wing really is still the only spot. Probably the only spot on the roster that I'm like a little bit concerned about. We talked about Valentin Noel maybe filling that spot. I didn't see Valentin Noel's name mentioned anywhere in this friendly the other day. So I don't know what his status is with the team right now, if he's still in contention for getting a first team contract or not. Another person that I think might be an option, and this is the second of my Twitter predictions over the weekend, is Micah Burton. So I've been on the record as saying, like, I don't think he'll get a homegrown contract this year. And I decided to change my mind. I think I'm going to predict that he will get a homegrown contract before the end of 2023. Partly because he's been in first team training. Like, we've heard that there's been a group of academy players training with the first team, but we always knew that it was a group of them. So like 5 or 6 that were pretty regularly getting time with the first team. Michael Burton, to our knowledge, was the only academy player in Florida with the first team. And so the fact that he was there, they were posting photos of him from the club account, which I know also doesn't mean nothing, right? Like we've seen Easter eggs like that before from the media team, like where, oh, there's a photo of this guy, there's a photo of this happening, and then there's some big announcement involving that player not long after. So the fact that he's in these photos and videos, I think does mean something. There's also, based on Jeremiah's investigation here, that we do have a roster spot available for a homegrown. And so really, to me, I think the only question is, like, if he's training with the first team, that says to me, like, I think they think he's ready to play with the first team at least a little bit. He's getting to the age where maybe he tries to go somewhere else if they don't give him a contract. And so the question is, like, is there another academy player you want to use that homegrown slot for on the roster? If there's not, I'd say give it to him. So my guess is he gets some minutes with ATX2 early on. If he's able to hang and really make a mark at the professional level there, I think he gets a homegrown contract not long after.
That would be really exciting. Gosh, he looks like, I mean, he is a kid, but he looks like such a kid in those pictures when he's lined up with all the other.
He does look like a kid, but honestly, like watching him from even like 6 months ago, he looks grown up since then. And so like that's another part of it too, is like he just looked like even with this, like the U17 team, he looks young out there sometimes. And so like he is growing up a little bit. Like that happens fast at that age, right? So I don't know. I don't know why I'm like so adamant about this, but I think it's going to happen, and I really hope it does.
Yeah, I love the theory. He's obviously like a talent that's fairly unique as far as what Austin has available.
All right. Anything else, Jeremiah, before we go to the over-under game with Marcelo?
No, let's go make some probably bad over-under predictions, and then luckily we won't have to deal with the consequences of those predictions for another 9 months.
It's so early. The season's so far away. We're having to make all these guesses. We're gonna be very wrong. We already did it, and so like, how did you feel about it? I feel like we did a bad job.
I feel like we did. Yes, I'm not very I'm not very excited about. And I don't think this is gonna be great. We'll see.
Right. Well, without any further ado, let's take a quick break and we'll come back with the over-under game with Marcelo Tezon. No one is around. Moontower Soccer is brought to you by Sage Wilson Property Group.
If you or someone you know are in need of Sage Real Estate advice in Austin, talk to our friends at Sage Wilson Property Group. You can find them online at sagewilson.com.
And as always, Moontower Soccer is brought to you by our friends at FVF Law, the official injury lawyers of Austin FC.
FVF is a different kind of personal injury law firm dedicated to community, transparency, and client education. And, people give us a little bit of a hard time about, walking around and being like, so-and-so is presented to you by FVF Law. But like when I call my wife and remind her, like I call on the way home, it's like, remember, I have to record Moontower Soccer tonight, brought to you by FVF Law. Like it's just a part of how I talk about this show now. So thanks, FVF.
You can go to FVF.law to find out what makes FVF a different kind of injury law firm and why understanding your legal options can dramatically change the outcome of a case. Once again, that's FVF.law. All right, we are very excited to be joined by Marcelo Tezon. I think you weren't happy with the introduction I gave you last time, so I think we should give you a title now. I think we should start
I wasn't happy?
I don't remember what I said. I said something weird that made sound maybe like an insult, and I did not mean it to be.
Like claim?
I think it's like active
human, I don't know, or something. I don't know what it was.
I wrote a sternly worded letter.
Anyway, I think we should give you the title of official Moontower Soccer Games Master.
That's actually hilarious because in my real life, I hate playing, like going to board game nights and stuff like that. I can't do it. It's not my, like board games and stuff like that are completely not my thing. And so this is I like this title because it's a fun cognitive dissonance. Like I have a lot of board game nerd friends who invite me to game nights, and I'm just miserable for 3 hours. Trying to trade ore for wool.
Yeah, I don't like board games. I don't like card games. I do like trivia though, which is what your games essentially are. Is trivia and
And my wife and I can't play trivia. We can't go out because we get too competitive. That's the reason why I don't do it, is because I get really upset when I'm not winning. So like we went to a Seinfeld trivia night the other day, and we were like in second place by like 1 or 2 points, and we were like despondent for the ride home. And like we had to look inward and like work through it as a family.
Those specialized trivias are hard. I went to a Bob's.
Yeah, we're good at them. And then
time.
these people beat us.
And
stupid.
Okay, so we did this. We did like the recap not long ago. I don't remember exactly when it was, but in the last couple of months, we recapped our 2022 over/under predictions, which you weren't on the show for, but you sent them all into us. And we're doing it now, which is a little bit earlier, I think, than we did before the last season, which Jeremiah and I were trying to schedule out when we were going to fit everything in we have planned for the preseason. And this is kind of when it needed to be, which I think is going to make it really hard, having not seen the team really yet, having like a few more weeks before the season actually kicks off. Like things could happen, but I think it'll probably make it a lot more fun to go over and make fun of ourselves at the end of the year. So I think it all balances out here.
Yeah, and I had to change some of these in the last few weeks thanks to various news things happening. So I had 1.5 number of sporting directors employed by Austin FC, and then Claudio resigned.
All right, should we jump in?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So for those of you who don't know, over under, what's going to happen is I'm going to set a number, and that's the line. And I'm going to explain what the line is, and then Landon and Jeremiah have to pick whether the reality is going to be over or under that line. Most of these numbers have a 0.5. That way you can do a whole number above or a whole number below. I will also put out there, guys, that if like these, a lot of these were actually set in community on the Slack channel. We had a nice long Slack thread where people suggested different over-unders and set the lines with us. However, if at some of these, they're like educated guesses about what we think, we tried to set them right in the middle of where we think it could be. If you feel like there's a line doesn't make sense or anything because we don't know what we're talking about, like we can reset a line or two if we need to. There are 19 total, and I made that an odd number on purpose so that there would be no ties. It was going to be 20. Yeah, no, like 10 to 10 ties. Like you're going to either have a winning record or a losing record. And we do have a tiebreaker that we're going to do right now today.
Okay.
And keep in our pockets in case we need a tiebreaker. All right. So the first one, and I previewed this during the review of the over-unders last time, is 9.5 goals against within the first 15 minutes. So Austin FC has a bad habit of conceding goals early in the first 15 minutes. They had 11 out of 55 goals conceded in the first. So 1/5 of their goals were conceded against within the first 15 minutes last year. I'm setting at 9.5 with the hope that it will improve. What do you guys think?
Wait, what was the number from last year?
11 total.
Ooh.
And I have another question. Are all these questions only related to league competition?
When you can assume league competition unless otherwise specified.
Okay, got it.
That's a good line because I would have said less, but what are you thinking, Jeremiah?
Okay, I'm going to go under.
Oh, I guess we're competing against each other, aren't we?
Well,
yeah, but you guys can do the same thing.
We can take the same side. Remember, we did that some last year.
But I shouldn't ask your opinion, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm laying my line on set. I'm going under. I feel like Josh is vague.
The good psychops would be for Landon to kind of try to persuade Jeremiah. Oh, you really think that over? I'll take the under. All right, well, I'll take the over.
We're not that smart. Marcelo. I appreciate that.
You saw us trying to do Jeopardy bids last time we were on. I'll take the under as well, mostly as a sign of optimism, but based on no real evidence.
Okay, you guys both take the under. I would actually have taken the over because Cascante is still on the team. All right.
And he's a year older.
The last year, we had a similar one for this one last year, but I'm making it more specific because there was a question as to whether it counted. One of the things counted last year. We're back to 0.5 Rodney Rennes goals witnessed by the public. No hearsay. So it has to be in front of an audience,
either TV or in person.
It's not a close in person. I think Verde Hill doesn't count.
Okay. And it has and
Rodney
it can
Redis
be,
goals,
and in any
it
competition.
cannot be the stuff of legend reported by Josh. In any competition, Rodney Redis goals witnessed by the public.
I'm gonna say over.
0.5.
I'm gonna say that Rodney Redis scores against Wrexham.
Are we actually playing Wrexham?
It's not official, but there's a lot of signs pointing towards that we're probably playing Wrexham.
God, I love
That's
that.
gonna be
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make it more complicated, but I'm not going to. I'm also going to go over the over. But if we get questions about it, like this closed door scrimmage that's coming up, we know there's like high profile sponsors who are going to be allowed to see it. So if a goal gets scored during that, I'm going to
public.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's outside people. It's not just the team. I'm still going to
We
go
have
over.
to have independent, but we, the people in general, have to have seen this goal to exist for it to exist.
I don't like your attitude, Marcel, but I'm still going to go with the over.
Well, maybe if he had scored last year, we would have a little bit more, tolerance of phantom goals of legend. Okay, so you're both over, optimists. All right.
We're very optimistic so far.
3.5 comeback victories by Austin FC. They had 4 last year.
Is that all? It seems like there were way more than
Yeah.
that.
I think because there was DC, there was Kansas City.
I guess some of the comebacks were draws too.
Or maybe we scored first and then they scored second, and we like that kind of thing. So 3.5 comeback victories by Austin FC.
Wait, so you're saying by comeback we have to be losing the whole game and then win?
No, you have to be losing at some point,
okay,
and then win.
I mean, I would have guessed we had like 6 or 7 last year. So the fact that it's only 4 is throwing me off here.
I looked it up, and
I think I must be thinking of some draws because wasn't Orlando like we were down 2-0 and came back.
We drew,
and then the RSL game is another one that like technically a draw, but we won in penalties. Is that one counting in the playoffs?
Yeah. I'm trying to look up my source, but I'm pretty sure that it was 4. Yeah, there's KC. There was KC regular season. There was DC United. I got to look at. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, we can change this. But
That's fine. What was the line again? I'm sorry.
3.5.
3.5. I'm still gonna go over. I think it's not an unreasonable number. I think just like the fashion of them could maybe be a little bit better. Instead of coming back from 3-0 down, maybe it's like we're down 1 and come back and win 2-1.
Wait, did you say over or under?
I said over.
Over. Okay, Jeremiah.
We're going to diverge here. I'm going to go under.
Okay.
I have this real strong belief that Austin is going to be a better team this year than they were last year, and we're going to not finish second because we're not going to have as many of these like fluky come from behind victories and stuff. So, like on paper, better club. But
I would also say under, man, because the reason for me is that a lot of those victories are on like Driussi's shoulders in a way that we don't have. We're not prepared. We're not building that way anymore. We're trying to be a little bit more cohesive as a team. And so I think that, Jeremiah, I think you might be right on this one. I feel that a little bit. All right, here's a fun one. This one takes a little explanation. 29.5 Brad Stuver PK save percentage. Okay.
Oh,
He was 28.6 last year. This includes playoff penalty. Any penalty kicks, in-game and post-game. He was 28.6 last year, but he was 50% before that, probably because he didn't have a lot of penalty kicks. He didn't face a lot of penalty kicks, but the year before he was 50% when he blocked Chicharito. And so 28.6 and Seth Rouse set this line at 29.5. Remember that he might get a lot more PKs with all these tournaments going on.
so wait, we're counting this all competitions.
all competitions.
It's his percentage.
Okay, I'll take the over on it.
Okay. He's gonna do more than 30. All right. Jeremiah?
I have no idea here. I'm also going to go with the over here. Mostly because I don't want to lose ground to Landon in this one, and I'm so unsure. I feel like picking the same thing is the way to go.
Well, you guys have picked both the same thing, 3 out of 4 over under. So it's going to be a great recap where I get to make fun of or celebrate both of you. All right. This is from Adia Silva. 2.5 Kippy starts on the first team in any game.
In any game, I'm going to go over.
Yeah, I'll take the over
I'm gonna have more than one. We're gonna play in more than one U.S. Open Cup match. Hopefully,
I think
I shouldn't have put the in any game. I should have been like regular season Kippy starts.
you could change it. Go ahead and change it.
I think there might be more than 2.5 Kippy starts on the first team in the regular season in MLS.
I think that makes it harder. I'll still go over.
Okay.
I'm going to go under with him being our fourth center back. I'm going to go under.
All right. Ooh, this was a very difficult line to set, and this one we may want to reset somewhere a little bit more even-handedly. Okay. 8.5. Yeah, this seems high. 8.5 players who play on both the first and the second team this year. That seems high.
8.5. I don't know that it is though, because
oh, you know where I got this? I think I tried to find an example from a different team, and that seemed where it was, but I can't remember.
Well, okay, so I think there's 8.5 over 8.5 first team players who will play down, but maybe they wouldn't get any first team minutes.
Interesting.
So
okay,
I'll take the under on that.
All right, Jeremiah. Got a lot of games.
They have to play. They have to play for both teams.
They have to play for both.
They have to appear for both.
Even
teams,
if they have a first team contract and they play down, if they don't get first team minutes, then it doesn't count.
I guess. Do we want to say play like they're in the game, or they're on rosters for games?
Play minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could just call Charlie Asensio out by name, Landon, since I don't think that you think he's going to play any first team minutes and he has a first team contract.
I was thinking of if Johan Romaña doesn't leave, he might be one of those.
Yeah. Damian Loss is probably one of those too. I'll still go over.
Okay.
I'm going to go over 8.5.
Another split. That's great. All right. 28.5. Zardes starts in any game. He averaged 25 to 30 in his heyday with the Columbus Crew.
And this is all competitions. And what was the line again? I'm sorry.
28.5.
28.5. Ooh.
You want me to go first? I feel like you've gone first a lot.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know if this will change your answer or not, but I'm going to go under. I think he's 31. I think there's some competitions he's not going to play in. Like I don't know that this is the year he's going to do that.
I'll make it interesting and take the over, just because there's so many games, so many competitions that how many Maxi got in the high 20s and starts this last season probably. So add all these extra competitions on, I think he gets there.
Okay. All right. Staying on with Gyasi Zardes. 0.5 goals scored by Gyasi Zardes not using his head or his feet. This is from someone in the Slack. I don't remember the name. I should have written. I think it might be David Lee. But I guess Zardes is known for bouncing balls off of other parts of his body into the goal. So the question is, will he get one of these signature goals?
That's an easy over for me. He already scored a double shin goal in preseason, and that's just what we saw on film that the media team released to us. So I think that's a sure thing.
Yeah, I will go over also. I need either his first goal or one of his signature goals to be off some other, like a butt goal or something. Like I feel like butt goal is exactly what we've been promised from Gyasi Zardes. We better get a butt goal at some point this season.
Okay. All right. This next one is actually one of a few different ones that it's not about necessarily counting numbers in a way. It's the number in a different way. 16.5. Austin's rank in the total salary budget list when it comes out. Currently, last year was 17. Will we be higher in the comparative rankings or lower? 16.5 is the line.
And was the 17th with the second release of salaries in the season?
The last release, the last release.
So with Rigoni, basically.
Yeah, with Rigoni. It's actually current. I looked up current. I guess current, most recent available. And so what we'll do is we'll check the most recent available at the time of the review,
Yeah,
and see where
we should have the second release by then too, if it works out the same
Okay.
as past seasons. So yeah, that will be the most up to date. Man,
I don't see Austin having a lot of salary spend in front of them at this point. So I'm going to go under, which I believe means
16 or lower, 16th or 17th. Yeah. Remember,
Yeah.
like going over will mean that they spend less, and going under means that they spend more, because the more they spend, the lower the number is going to be.
Whichever one closer to the bottom is, that is the one I'm going with. Okay.
That is, wait, if that's the case, if one's closer to the bottom, that is over.
Okay. That's what I'm going with then.
I'm going to take the over as well. I honestly think Austin's spend will be very similar to last year, but it feels like there's a lot of teams spending some money this year. And so I think other teams will just maybe pass them a little bit.
I think that's true. I think I agree with that one. Okay. So you talked about him once. Let's put it on the line. He had one last year. So 1.5 first team appearances in any game by Charlie Asensio.
Oh, wow. How can we know he was going to come up? In any competition?
In any competition.
Okay.
He played he appeared in one friendly last year. Halfway through.
I don't even, which friendly was that? I don't even remember it. We were there.
It was like, he was in a mint jersey, I remember.
Maybe Pachuca?
Might have been Pachuca, yeah.
Oh, it was very hard to tell.
We were already getting creamed at the time.
It was already very hard to tell what was going on there.
I'm going to say, wait, this is any competition, including friendlies and stuff?
First team appearances by Charlie Asensio, yeah.
If it's all competitions.
But it's 1.5. It's not just one. It's two.
Right.
The over is 2.
No, I'm still going to take the under, just because we have so much more depth there now. And like, we have 3 left backs who are way higher on the depth chart than he is. And so I just don't think there's any need for him to play, really. Those minutes will go to Cole minutes if they're needed.
Okay. Jeremiah?
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go with the over here. I think there's a reason why they kept him around. They must see some promise in Charlie Asensio that they didn't see from other draftees. So I think it's Charlie's time to shine with 2 appearances.
Okay. This next one, this is a big one. The number I think is movable because I'm not sure where we're going to be on it. 9.5 goals by Emiliano Rigoni.
9.5. And again, this is all competitions.
Yeah, I think at the end when they look at the season, yeah. I'm pretty sure, yeah, all competitions. Man, I need to be more specific of that.
It's fine. I can't wait to see you. Luckily, your Zardes number.
I don't know if
so
Emiliano's going to play in a lot of other competitions.
Yeah.
Well, it's his first full year. He's a winger, and we're thinking more about like the assists he's going to play to someone like Zardes. So he might not be somebody who's like a huge goal scorer, but he scores a few every now and then, like Fagundes. Fagundes is more striky.
More striky. Is that a technical term too? Is that the industry term?
Yes.
I'll go under.
Yeah. Under, okay.
I'm going to say under as well. I think if he doesn't get close to that, I think this year is going to be a pretty big disappointment. But if he can make up for that in assists with having a year to bed in, having Zardes to aim at in the box, like I think he could still be a major contributor even if he doesn't hit that number. But I'll take the pessimistic route here and go under with it.
Yeah, to your point, Marcelo. Diego had 6
for...
goals and 13 assists last year, so that's
what I was gonna say. Diego had 6. Okay, yeah, all right. Maybe I should have set that line based on Diego. Darn.
But if you're doing all competitions, because 6 is in MLS.
Maybe there's more.
Yeah.
All right. You guys mentioned this last week that someone came in with a listener question of like, how many goals are you going to have between Diego Driussi, Emi, Zardes, Finley, and Urruti, right? And you guys said we're not going to calculate that. Well, I calculated it.
You did. Oh, thanks.
And and I'm setting the line at 14.5%. The percentage of goals from outside that group. So outside Diego Driussi, Emi, Zardes, Finley, and Urruti.
And what was it last year? Do you know?
It was 15%.
Okay.
We're outside. Mostly Ruben and Cascante.
Wait, is Ring included in the group or no?
Ring is not included in the group. I listened to the podcast back. He was not included in the group.
Okay.
Percentage goes from not the non-forward list, if you will.
Oof, this is hard because the distribution will be different, but I think it might just be distributed differently within that group. And so the line is 14 and it was 15 last year.
14 and a half. 14 and a half, yeah. Is the line.
I'm going to say, dang it, I don't know. You have an answer, Jeremiah?
I'm going to go over from outside that group.
Okay.
I'm going to cheat a little bit and guess that Will Bruin's going to pick up 2 or 3 goals that Musa Djitte is not going to get. And that's going to cross the line between over and under.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll agree with that and say that group will score a lower percentage of goals.
A lower percentage. Oh, I see. The main group, the big group. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would actually have said maybe next year I'll put my own picks in here and we'll go with it. But
then you may embarrass us, Marcelo, because you're way more prepared than we are.
I would say I think it might be under. And the reason I think it might be under is I think we're building up much more variety of options in the front. And I think that does it if Rigoni works, if Zardes works, if this group actually comes together and makes it happen with Driussi and Diego, I think they're going to be responsible for a lot more goals. And we don't know how much Väisänen is going to be as contributing to that as Ruben was. Ruben was a big contributor up there. So I'm curious, and so it should be interesting. I think Will Bruin could be the X factor that changes it up. But something about me tells me that's going to be it might be a little bit more traditional in where these goals are coming from. But we'll see. That's just my intuition. All right, here's a big one, and I struggled to set this line. I almost set it at 0.5, but I thought we maybe do a little bit. Total in any game appearances by Musa Djitte, 4.5. Is he coming back?
4.5.
Is he coming back? And if so, is he going to play a lot? 4.5. Because he's going to come back. We're already going to have a rhythm. Will Bruin's going to be around? Is he coming back? If you think he's not coming back, it's an under. If you think he's coming back, how much are they going to run him?
We will have talked about this on the other segment of the show, so I'll keep this brief, but I'm going to say under.
Under, okay.
Me too. And future us who's recording, past us who's recording the future will understand this, but yeah, I'm going under.
I mean, I'm not privy to the conversations. Do you think, and you can cut this out if you want, do you guys think he's coming back?
No.
I don't. No.
Okay. That's a shame. Well, we'll always have the Hattie. All right. This one is from David Lee. 5.5. Austin FC 2 starts by Damian Loss.
5.5?
Yeah, because I think it was based on Tarbell's starts with Stuver, I think is where it came from.
But you said ATX 2.
Yeah. Isn't it? So
you're assuming the Galaxy, the Galaxy guy is going to be the main starter?
Like that.
Do we know he's going to be the main starter?
What was his name? Eric Bersano? Or no, the Matt Bersano's the other guy. Eric Lopez, yeah. Well, this is what the Slack people put. I'm not responsible.
I'm going to say way over. I think Loss gets
way over. You think he's the guy?
I don't know if he's the guy, but with that 2 team, I think they'll mix him up regardless. Even if Lopez is the favorite, I think Loss will still get to play quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go over too, just because it's kind of like with my Asensio opinion. There's a reason that Austin acquired him as keeping him around, and I can't imagine it's to be a guy who never plays for ATX FC 2. What do we Austin 2? ATX 2? What are we calling him, Landon?
I'm pushing for ATX 2.
ATX 2, got it.
Trying to make fetch happen.
3 syllables. Austin 2. The second team. Okay. This one we had last time, but there was some injury that brought the number up. So it's 4.5. First team goalkeeper starts not by Brad Stuver. And last year, I believe he missed 5 games.
Okay, again
with injury.
MLS.
And he got COVID.
MLS are all comps. I think we should.
Let's say MLS.
It was MLS last time, so we should stick to that. I think that makes it harder. Yeah. 4.5.
Yeah,
I'm going under.
Under.
I'm going to go under too because there's not going to be COVID, and I've seen Matt Barsano play, and I'm deathly terrified of him seeing the field more than 5 times this season.
Yeah, but also the Stubers need to get power back before he can play again.
Well, we could talk about that. Like, they should be at the Fairmont. There's a whole freaking hotel partnership that they have there.
Apparently,
like
the sources on Slack say that they are safe and they're with some friends, and they wouldn't want to take a hotel when there are other people in greater need.
that is the Stuverous possible answer.
He's like Judge Reinhold on Seinfeld, the guy, the nice guy who takes Jerry's parents to My Fair Lady.
Oh yeah,
He's like, I could have done more. Oh, the close talker. It's a gift. All right. Here's some fun ones. 4.5 number of Mate con Vos episodes.
Oh man,
there were four last year, I think.
This is tough because
5.
they're going to be doing a lot more quote unquote content. But
but is it going to be Mate con Vos?
Does that kind of content fit with the Apple vision, or is that like a little bit outside of what they're wanting? And so I think it's hard.
It's like
to
Wayne's
say.
World. It's like Wayne's World, where the Apple sends Rob Lowe and Kurt Fuller in to change the show,
and they build a replica set of the Mate con Vos studio just right next to the Mate con Vos studio.
Yeah. And meanwhile, and then Diego's like, contractor, no, I will not bow down to any sponsor. I just watched that last night. That's my comfort movie.
Oh man.
All right.
I'm gonna say again, optimistic, and hope that Mate con Vos is encouraged by the Apple package and we get more than 4 episodes.
All right.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going under. I'm going to be sad about this, but I think even if it's this could be a clarification question. If it's packaged up in some other way as some like part of some other like random clip show or something, or does that count?
I think it needs to be like a pure Mate con Vos.
I'm definitely staying under.
We can answer this one in spirit. I think it needs to be called Mate con Vos, or if it has another name, it needs to be the exact same thing.
God, if they change it to Mate con Usted because Apple wants it, I'm gonna be so mad. That's
not what these guys are doing.
You don't get the double meaning then, because it's like Mate convos.
Conversations. I never got that.
I don't know if they meant it that way.
I'm sad today, guys, because I'm sad today, by the way, because one of my favorite Argentine restaurants I learned has closed down in the last year. El Trapiche in Palermo in Buenos Aires, which is a classic old school Argentine grill restaurant that has been around for decades, and now it's permanently closed. And we're mourning it here in the household.
Pour one out.
Truly,
pour a Fernet out for El Trapiche, everybody.
For El Trapiche. But if you are in Buenos Aires, go to El Palacio de la Papa Frita. Get the papa soufflé. They're like potato discs that they fry so hot that they inflate into little balloons. And they're called papa soufflé. There's nothing else like them in the world. Great beef as well. El Palacio de la Papa Frita, Palace of the Fried Potato.
There you go.
Or the papa soufflé.
The name.
You heard it here. All right. Here's another fun one from the Slack. And we counted. There were 7 last year. So I'm setting the line at 6.5. Players who miss an MLS match due to yellow card accumulation.
Wait, give me the numbers again.
There were 7 last year, players who missed an MLS match due to yellow card accumulation. So 6.5 is the line.
I'm going to say under.
Are these different players? Like the 7 times?
Different players. So yeah, if you miss it,
7 times,
if you miss like twice,
I'll still go under.
Under. They're going to be better behaved.
I think we're deeper in. It's mostly midfielders, right? And I think we're deeper in the midfield and can afford to rotate some of these guys. And so maybe the good behavior, like nullification of some of those will be a bit easier to achieve. So I think we'll go under.
Okay. All right. This one was a hard line to set, and I'd be interested in here and thinking about where we want to set this line. I actually thought about this, and I'm like, actually, there are things I like about this line. 9.5, jersey number of the first goal scorer.
Oh.
On the under, it's Zardes and Ring. On the over, it's and Rigoni. On the over, it's Driussi and Fagundes.
Man.
First goal scorer. I'll go
So I
under.
think that's a good line. 9.5. You're
It
going
is
to
a
go
great
under.
line. I'm going to go under.
It's also it's just distribution. If you just take like the people who are likely to start, it feels pretty, without actually counting, it seems pretty evenly distributed there as well. So if you're just doing it coin flip style,
Yeah.
um,
So who's going to score first?
I'm
Gallagher's on the front end, on the upper.
Gallagher's on one, Lima's on the other
Rodney
side.
is on the upper, on the over.
Right. That's a good. Yeah. Roddy's. Yeah. That's a
11.
big consideration there. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Maxi.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be Julio Cascante. So over.
Over. We got to split. That's great. Okay. All right. This one also, this one, Seth Rao was a big help on this one, just calculating everything. And here we go. I'm assuming this was based on them not changing the MLS playoffs because they're still talking about these stupid things. So maybe we revisit this line at some point if we need to amend it, if they change the playoff format. But 47.5 total matches played by Austin FC.
47.5.
Let me run some numbers for you. 34 MLS regular season playoff matches plus playoffs. Plus Leagues Cup, which we calculated how many there were going to be, plus CCL, plus US Open. There are 39 guaranteed minimum matches. All right, 39. If we lose everything in the other cups and we do the regular season and don't make the playoffs, that's 39 minimum matches. Depending on the format of the playoffs, there are up to 57, up to 60 possible matches, max total. Depending on if we make a run in everything and get to and win everything, which of course we're going to do, 57 to 60, depending. We set it like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen with the playoffs. The line is set at 47.5. So in addition to the MLS regular season, we're looking at 13.5 additional matches. This is a question of how deep do you think we go in some of these tournaments? 47.5.
Jeremiah, you have an answer or you need to think?
I do have an answer.
Go for it.
I'm going to go over on that.
You think so? You think we're going to make
I think it's
some
going to be
runs?
tight. I mean, it's going to be close, but I think like, what was the minimum? 30,
Minimum is 39.
39?
So 8 more matches. Are we going to get 8 more above the minimum? That means we have to win a few.
Well, so I'm counting. Wait, it doesn't matter now. I'm going to stick with the over. I was thinking about CCL. Like if we get a bye in the first round, there's still only 2. There's still 2 in the second round.
Yeah, that was. I don't know if we counted the bye or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But those don't count as matches, so it doesn't really matter. There were going to be 2 either way, but I'll still stay with over.
I was gonna say under because of those 2 matches. Like we could still make a decent run in a few things and have those 2 matches removed from the max possible total. I also think I think we'll flame out in at least 1 or 2 of the competitions. I think we will make a run in something, be it the playoffs or Leagues Cup or something. We're going to make a run in one of the extra league competitions, and then we're going to flame out of the rest of them.
All right. That's all our over-unders. Now it's time for the tiebreaker. And you might want to write some of this down because it's a little bit.
Oh, no.
It's not that hard, but you might want just to remember if you have a pen or a notepad or something like that. All right. Sort these players by total playing time from most minutes to least minutes. And then I will count deviations from the reality at the end of the season. And whoever has the fewest deviations from reality, whoever's the closest wins the tie, basically.
Okay.
All right. These are the left and right backs: Nick Lima, John Gallagher, John Kolmanich, Alex Lundqvist, Hector Jimenez, and Charlie Asensio. Once again, sort these players by total playing time: Lima, Gallagher, Kolmanich, Lundqvist, Jimenez, Asensio.
This is where we could use the Jeopardy music.
We can talk about it a little bit. I think the wild card here is Gallagher because he can play both sides.
Yeah.
So we might see him on the right, might see him on the left.
And are these minutes in all competitions or just league?
Total minute playing time. And I don't think the fact that we have more games is going to really affect that too much because there's still going to be a pecking order in terms of how many, are we going to see Asensio that much? Are we going to see Jimenez that much? You know?
Well, but if one was trying to decide between Nick Lima and John Gallagher,
Yeah, that could be a question.
and number one,
That could be
then
the
like
tiebreaker right there.
Gallagher's flexibility could be the
I'll say total playing time. I'm going to look up total playing time at the end of the year, and I'm going to look it up on MLS stats.
I want to make you go first, Jeremiah.
Okay. Well, my clarification kind of gave away my response, but I'm going to go.
I'm not going to change
Gallagher?
anything. I have mine.
Okay. I like that Landon has his hands up because this is a visual medium. Okay, Gallagher, Lima, Lundqvist, Kolmanich, Jimenez, Asensio.
Mine is exactly that.
Damn it!
It's not a tiebreaker then.
Damn it! I thought that was so clever. Like that was to me, that's like the big position battle is left and right back, and what that order is going to look like, and who's going to break through, and who's going to have these games.
Okay, we can do something with like what position John Gallagher will play
more.
At.
Okay,
how do we do that?
Don't we know that he plays one more than the other, even though he can do both?
He does now, but if Lundqvist looks better than Lima, maybe you switch Johnny over to the other side.
Let's make that the tiebreaker. Do you want to do that? Like, will John
Gallagher
play more total games?
More games
on the left or right?
So who has left and who has right?
Let's say minutes, not games.
Okay, minutes. Yeah,
minutes. Yeah. Oh, if you're going to calculate that, because I don't know if I can calculate.
What if we both pick the same one here?
No, one of you has to choose the left, and one of you has to choose the right. If not, I'll make up something else that you have to take an opposite side.
I'll let you go first. I'll take the other side, Landon.
Okay. I'll say left. Gallagher plays more minutes on the left side.
Okay. This is one of those where one of us is going to look really dumb at the end of the year when he plays like 90 minutes on one side or the other.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to know like 4 games in.
4 games in. Yeah, you got that. So you better hope the other over-unders are good because otherwise you don't have that tiebreaker in. We had some other ones that I was going to bring back the 0.5 goals by Romaña. Went away. Sad about that. After the rumors that have been going around. And then I was going to bring the number of I almost did 2.5 athletic sporting directors employed by Austin FC, counting Sean Rubio as one. So I didn't know if we were going to hire a new one or keep Sean Rubio. But that just I took that away in order to get it to an odd number of things. Any other interesting, any narrative, any like patterns that we see? I think last year I remember seeing that you, Landon, thought that we were going to rotate a lot more, and we ended up playing the same starting 11 almost every game. Is there anything like that? Any patterns that you see here that you feel are worth commenting on?
I mean, on the theme of rotation, I think Josh Wolf, even if his hand isn't forced, because his hand wasn't forced a lot last year. We didn't have a lot of injuries. He wasn't like, it was really yellow cards that made him change lineups. And so I think he needs to be proactive about this rotation with how many games they're going to be playing. And so I think if he doesn't rotate, it could end up being like putting this team in trouble, really, if he tries to run guys into the ground. And then whenever the games start catching up with us, I think it could come back to bite him.
Yeah, I'll just say, I think it's going to probably be a mistake, but I don't want to like doubt Josh Wolf and end up on the first game video again this year like I did last year. So I think like with another year in the system, maybe he's going to be able to implement some additional flexibility beyond that, because like the basic fundamentals are like so ingrained into these guys now that maybe they will do some different things that lead to rotation.
I was thinking like the for me, the big pattern is that like the front is so different now with Djitte gone, Zardes in, Rigoni settling in, and now possibly Will Bruin joining us. That like I think the way we're going to score is going to be completely different than the way we scored last year, where it was Driussi creating these chances and just doing impossible shots. And we're still going to see a couple of those, but I feel like this thing is going to be much more the way that Wolf envisions us playing. And that'll be really interesting. And he said there's that striker goal. They want to change it up and provide some new wrinkles and make things a little bit different. So that should be really fun. What was the other thing I was going to say was, I don't know. I lost it. Sorry. Well, thank you all for having me on the show. I really want to see that Rodney Redes goal witnessed by the public, or I would love to see one that is not witnessed by the public and have to deny it they announced that he scored a goal in a closed door friendly or something, and that like that's the only thing we get, and then I like that's what I would love. Cool. Well, thank you all for having me on the show. I guess we'll be back to compare these notes next time. Yeah, until next time.
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
This was great, Marcelo. Thanks so much once again for keeping us from having to plan an entire show and doing all the work for us.
Yeah, we love that. And we'll all laugh about how wrong we were when we get back to this later.
You guys had winning records last time. So,
all right.
Maybe we'll get better.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Marcelo. Bye.
Well, you don't need words to tell me things that drive me wild, right out of my brain. Well, you don't say it.
All right. We want to thank Marcelo one more time. He does an excellent job with those games. We're very grateful for him doing that for us. Before we wrap up, we'd like to remind you to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Come find us online. I'm on Twitter at LVHero87. Jeremiah's at JBentley_ATX. And then we're at Moon Tower Soccer on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, which hopefully we'll have some more content up there in the next week or so, we're guessing. Also, sign up for the Patreon. We've got some cool stuff coming in the not so distant future. Sign up for the Striker, where you can get a 30% discount with Moon Tower 22 with capital M. Jeremiah, what can folks look out for there?
Well, there's two articles, both from Phil West this week, that people should check out. One is 3 players to watch coming out of the El Paso Locomotive match that he wrote right after the match. And then there's also another article that deals mostly with some Josh Wolf comments that's called Full of Surprises, Austin FC looking to keep opponents guessing in 2023. So we talked a little bit about maybe some tactical adjustments and shifts Josh Wolf might have in store, and those are covered in Phil's article.
All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, everybody. We will be back in 1 week with a new episode of Moon Tower Soccer, where we are going to interview the one and only Adrian Healy. So that one is definite. That's on the books. We also have another interview that we're hoping is going to be on this show as well. We don't have that one confirmed yet, but if it happens, y'all are really going to like it, and we are very excited about it. So stay tuned for more information on that. Until then, I'm Landon Cottom.
I'm Jeremiah Bentley.
We'll catch you next time.
When no one is around.
Think for nothing, you never.
La gente. Oh my God.